Why did this movie flop? A respected director with $350 million. His dream project, adapting a beloved sci-fi novel. It became one of the most expensive failures in Hollywood history. How does this happen? Let me tell you all about it. Timeline of events. We have Disney and we have Andrew Stanton, director of two massive Pixar hits. Now he wants to cash in his goodwill and transition from animation to live action. He asks Disney to purchase the film rights to the sci-fi book he adored as a child. At this point in time, Disney had not yet acquired Lucasfilm or Marvel, and they were desperate to appeal more to young male audiences. On the strength of his reputation, Disney greenlights the film and gives Stanton nearly full creative control. Stanton enjoys a lengthy pre-production period, as he would have back at Pixar. During this lengthy period, though, Disney experiences a lot of changes in their upper management. The new brass is, much like Stanton, light on experience when it comes to mega-budget blockbusters. Production begins, and Stanton finds himself frustrated with the constraints of live action. You see, back at Pixar, movies are remade from the ground up 6 or 7 times during production. That's just how they work. But with live action film, that's just not possible. There's too many moving parts. John Carter is subject to at least 2 periods of extensive reshoots. Production wraps. Stanton has unusually strong sign-off powers on marketing decisions. Mars is dropped from the title. A source claims that Stanton can't imagine a world where somebody doesn't already know the name John Carter. Stanton forbids any mention of his or the screenwriter's past films in the marketing. He chooses the trailer music and designs billboards and posters. A toy and merchandise plan one would expect from this kind of Disney release is suspiciously absent. The press becomes aware of the extensive reshooting, and headlines start popping up about a troubled production. And then on March 9th of 2012, the film opens. It premieres at the number 2 spot, bested by a Dr. Seuss adaptation. In its first weekend, it earns 30, and in its second, 13. On a budget of over $350 million, it makes just $284. It's one of the most noteworthy cases in modern history. All right, that's all the facts. Now let's get into the why and close this case. Right away, I can see that this film is a nightmare mixture of some poisonous box office elements. First off, it's science fiction. That's always a 50-50 gamble. The framing device is set in the Wild West. The protagonist is from the Civil War. It takes place mostly on Mars. And the aesthetic is kind of sword and sandal-esque. This is a mad lib of things that can make it harder for you to make money. Take that and add to it all the negative press about the troubled production. It's the Heaven's Gate effect. People love to watch creative endeavors fail. It's exciting. With this and all the other demerit points, this was almost destined to fail. The next problem is the source material itself. I mean, Princess of Mars was written in 1912. Over those 100 years, the book had become foundational to modern science fiction. You see, long before Stanton was ever involved, Robert Zemeckis was approached, and he turned it down, saying that George Lucas had already mined whatever he could from those books. The time to adapt John Carter in a traditional manner had passed. The window closed because by the time anyone got around to it, its influence was woven into the very fabric of sci-fi cinema. This case is awfully similar to a previous case, Valerian from 2017. Valerian was also a mega-budget science fiction flop. It also had a director with a childhood fondness for the source material. And its release had been spoiled by strange marketing decisions, because the campaign demonstrated a lack of box office acuity that someone more experienced would have brought to the table. You know, here at Big Flops, we're all about creating a resource for documenting studio system behavior, mocking the repeated mistakes of executives, and logging the system's failures. And it is a strange and frustrating system. The business side needs the creative side to provide the content of a piece, the meat. But the creative side needs the business side to put up the cash, to take it and package it and have it generate enough commerce to justify their next one. It doesn't matter how good or bad the film is, the quality is irrelevant. You can be sold a bad film and it can make a lot of money that way. Good shit makes bad money and bad shit makes good money all the time. Be careful not to give yourself too much credit. Where Disney failed is that they gave marketing powers to Stanton. Where Stanton failed was that he took them. And right there is what's so great about John Carter, is that it exemplifies the grand irony of the entire system. Both sides actually need each other. Case closed.